enjoy the show. Play on Perjangers.
It has certainly been a while.
Yep, it is, but it's getting good. It's good, though. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Pretty good, man.
Doing great. Frank is making a piece of art for my charity event.
That's how I looked at.
Party at the Park. And it's going to be at Schlegel Park in West York. We got a bunch of bands, DJ, bunch of food trucks, vendors are going to be there. Aleem's going to be there selling his comic.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we got Aleem's comic and my first book, Picture Perfect Small Towns, York and Media, PA, in 2 comic shops up there. And he says that they're selling well. So
Good.
Been expanding the brand out, as it were, keeping Perjangers perjanging. And
That's funny.
and you've been busy yourself.
Oh, yeah. Are we live right now? Are we going or not?
Oh yeah, we're recording.
We're just adding. We're just ad-libbing
soft
right now.
the soft intro for the show, but you've been obviously we started off in the earlier part of this year talking about the Heroic Awards and how I did the intro and category videos for the Heroic Awards, which was just the start of the amazing year that I've had so far. So that's what started it off, and now you got a bigger event coming next year.
Well, so there's a lot of changes with the Heroic Awards. We want to go big, but we haven't found a venue for our location. So the logistics, people don't realize, maybe they do, but there's so much behind the scenes with these big conventions and events. They're a business in their own. So there's some mighty hills to climb in that game. But yeah, we're actually going to be announcing the new Heroic Award winners for the nomination into the Hall of Fame. This will happen in September, I believe, next month. Well, I guess tomorrow. Today's the 31st of August, so it'll be starting here in September. And we're gonna, probably get 4 people into the Hall of Fame to start it off, and send them some trophies. Do you guys have your trophy still? I have my trophy.
It's an awesome trophy too.
It looks really cool.
Make sure it has a little weight to it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we love that it's a great trophy, but also I feel like people got good publicity and they started using the seals on their comics, and they started spreading the word, and that's really what matters. I personally went and looked up some award programs in the last couple of weeks on video games, on anime, on comic book, graphic novels. I use them all the time, award programs, and I want them to be accurate and high quality and inclusive when it comes to all the different products in the market. I think Heroic Awards did a great job doing that for its first year this year.
100%. It was great. I loved it, especially just seeing everybody who won and putting those finalists together and doing the video. I'm like, oh my God, I had my own favorites who I was pulling for, and to see the bigs that did win, like the IRA, that was one I really loved. That was a really good comic, especially with their use of color, and that was really amazing. And I still see like a bunch of people, they just pop up now in my Facebook feed, and like, oh my God, I know you from the Heroic Awards.
Exactly. You're exactly right on 100%. The community is already there. We didn't create it, but we've tapped into it and really brought together people who want to be part of an awards program and or recognition for great comic creation. Not everybody wants to be in the game. It's fine that people have privacy and other interests, but we grabbed, I think there was something like several hundred applicants and over 100 judges, and just really got the energy of the comic community on board with what we were doing, and hand it to C2E2 for allowing us to be there. Next year, where will we be? We don't have that known yet. That's not announced. We don't have that decided.
Okay.
But it's great that first year happened at C2E2. Still had a really great turnout, and even the YouTube alone, I knew a lot of people that were really tuning into that specifically because they couldn't make it out, like myself.
Yeah. It's tough in the comic community to gather lots of viewers on YouTube But with our awesome digital team, yourself plus others that put together some great post video and post graphics as well, I think we had really good representation online.
And that even brings me to, as soon as you announced, hey, starting to take applicants, I sent it over to at least 3 guys that I had on the podcast since then, saying, you guys need to submit your stuff from this year. Like Jim Cantonelli, Ryan Howitt, and I believe another gentleman I'm forgetting right now, Johnny Necro. And I told all of them, I'm like, if you put out a comic, submit right there.
Yeah.
Yes, people do want to submit, and there's nothing to lose at it. You just fill out the Google form. I actually have, I'm opening it right now. I haven't opened it in a long time to see how many responses we have, but dozens of companies, comic companies. So we just started at this. So we're gonna hit high numbers again for sure.
Awesome. It's exciting because especially those people who won or even got in, the finalist category for what the people actually got, a conversation with, it was Atlantic Press, and then possibly talking to Diamond. That's huge.
You mean Antarctic?
Antarctic, yes. That's what it was. Yes, yeah. Antarctic.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. So Antarctic put together a graphic novel of the winners. And so we have, I don't know if it's 6 or 7, maybe it's 10. I can't remember the number of actual graphic novel creators who signed on for the graphic novel, for our comic creators that signed on for the graphic novel, but it comes out in December or end of November in comic book stores across the country.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we definitely need to push that out there. We made some posts. There's been some media, some online newspapers that have grabbed it up and posted about it. But I thought Antarctic really helped us out. They put together the number ones, and it's going to have our seal all over it and our look, and it's going to be a high production, high quality piece, and they're proud of it. They wanted to make sure that their name was on a high quality piece. So we're all trying to make it be high level, very high level. That's the goal.
That's good. That's great.
I mean, you set the bar last year, but especially with, even comic creators like, the bigs who are putting out their own comics, like Mark McKenna. He has his own comic line that he puts out. Frank is working on his. There are people who now they know about Heroic. When it gets published, they know where to send it. Like, hey, here it is. For a number of great categories, line art, colors, writing. That was one of the best things of seeing how diverse the categories were. And while I'm putting the video together on how actually different all the entries were. Some had a different style, but it was still, expertly done, expertly drawn. There was a lot of, it showcased a lot of different talent that people may not have actually seen.
And the winners, we had no idea who was going to win. We didn't put any of our preferences involved. We were totally against any of that. We wanted the people and the judges to put their word in, and they were the gods of the decision makers. We just were the organizers, putting the content and information together. When the winners won, and I didn't per se agree, who cares? I'm just a Joe. Right. The winners are who they are, and we made sure. And even I think you probably remember this in our advisory board meetings. When we'd be talking about, well, this publisher is getting a lot of traction, we're like, so what? They deserve whatever traction they get because, they're actually the ones who made the best book this year, according to the judges. And so we didn't put our thumb on anything and stop it. We didn't put our input in it. We just aggregated the content and put it out there to the winners. And congratulations to them for doing a good job.
Absolutely. And they deserved it. It's not, you don't win a lot of categories when it is, as about as evenly biased as you can make it. There's a natural order of these are our judges, and it's not all the judges are judging everything. All right, these are our judges for this category. These are ours for this category, and they picked who was the best.
That's really important. We got professional artists to judge the line art, professional colorists to judge the coloring, professional letterers to judge the lettering. We didn't just say, you're a comic book store owner and we really like you, so be our judge for all the categories. Since you sell this, you must know, right? Well, maybe it's true, but a lot of artists would say that Just because you retail my art doesn't mean that you know how to draw it. And so we
What
made sure to, yeah, we made sure to really tie in skill sets, the professionals, into each level. That's why we had over 100 judges because we couldn't have six. We
Mhm.
couldn't have 10. We had to have 10 per each category.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
could make sure to get real professionals in there.
And that really did help because after you explain that out to me, I'm like, all right, that sounds like an evenly, set field for
Yeah,
anybody to put their comic out there.
yeah,
Unlike what we see a lot in like Hollywood, like what we talked about last time. It's did this person really win this award or did the studio buy it? This is not
right.
the case because you
Yeah,
can't buy off 100 people that easily.
yeah, the Golden Globes and the Oscars have faced that for the last decade. Are they influencing who wins? Are they not allowing certain kinds of movies in because of their preference or what have you? We can't know that they don't divulge it, so we don't know. But I'll just say it for us. We're down to the 100th of a percent. If the judges are giving it, and we rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, and so they get you know 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever, and then we take all the numbers together and we give them a score at the end, and it's down to the 100th of a percent. 9.76 or whatever, to get really to the highest number winners. Some of these were very close, very 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 close, and it came down to nearly a tie on a couple of different categories. So I was really happy to see a lot of support for different kinds of books and books that were really different, not books that were similar, but like the genres, the art styles were very different, and yet the judges said, yes, this is still, a 10 or whatever score set. This is
Mhm.
still a high level, and that made me happy because it wasn't like the judges were saying I only like 90s art style or I only like horror comics, and so there I'm giving them. It wasn't like that.
Well, there
It
are black and
surprised me.
white comics too. It wasn't just like
There was,
everybody had colors all over the place. There were very good black and white comics.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. That surprised me as well. I We didn't know what to expect. I can be surprised. This is our first year,
Yeah.
but we didn't know what to look forward to. We just knew that if we built the system that made sense, unbiased, reaching out to all different types of comics. We even had some manga in there, and we just said let those who wish to participate and submit, let them all submit.
Yeah.
Let the judges, the professionals, be able to do their work. Let's not influence it in any way. Give them plenty of time to get back to us. Keep the communication going. We built the system. We didn't build the critique. The critique came from the professionals. And if we built a good system, we thought we would have a good output, and we did. We did.
And I know now it's in that logistics phase of where, but once you get that settled, I think it's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be an amazing time, and it's going to really highlight a lot of indie content creators like they should.
Yeah. Well, highlighting the indie creators has been something that indie creators the community has been wanting to do for a long, long time. And breaking through has been very tough. We mentioned YouTube video, movies, and videos of podcasts like this or others. We have to really push to get traffic up. Indie creators selling their comics, if they get followers in Kickstarter, if you have 100 followers that are buying your Kickstarter, you're doing really good sometimes. And so we need to get more than 100 people
Yeah.
to back and to view and to support. We need to get more than that. And that was been hard for years. And Heroic Awards was supposed to, and this was our mission, was to highlight excellent renderings. Heroic is honoring excellent renderings of independent creators. That's what our goal, and we're going to keep doing that.
And that is one of the things that I love about it. It's boosting everybody else up, and that's what we love to do around here. The other thing that you brought to my attention is a game that already kind of piqued my interest, Vigilante Combat.
Yeah, I'll tell you about this. This is great. Okay, this has been, I don't know how long, more than a year in the making. It's been a year and a half, I think, now. Aries the Artist, which is his online moniker, has been building this basically solo, the whole game. He got into video game creation because he was one of the best comic artists, and he only would draw for independent comic creators. So I started talking with him a year and a half ago. He and I hit it off online. We stayed up till like 4 in the morning chatting on Facebook. It was kind of an odd twist, and we just had a good time. And we started communicating regularly, and his production level is just like super pro, absolutely highest level, and his style is modern and current. And I said, "Man, you need to draw my book." And he says, "Well, I will, but I'm doing this video game." And he told me about the video game he's working on. At that point, was Nostalgia Fighters. Was 4 different guy, and he said, "I'm getting into this. I'm going to start doing this for myself, but I don't want to do it just for me. I want to do it for the indie community." And so he reached out to, I don't know how many it was, 20, 30 comic creators, and said, "Give me the rights to your character just for the video game, and let's just make sure there's nobody's getting their feet stepped on. Nobody's getting hurt about anything, but allow me the rights to use your character, and I'll put it in my game if you'd like." And everybody's like, "Yes, take my guy, take my girl, put them in the game." Just the questions were, how are they going to look in their clothes? How are they going to move? Is it going to be similar to my character in my comic? How are they going to talk? Is the backstory going to be in there that shows the backstory from my story? These are the things that were important to the creators. And Aries has done really good, really well to make the art that he can do graphically on the game to mimic what is in the comic book almost right on. You can see it when you look at the books.
Nice.
The movement of the characters, the type of weapons or not that they use, martial art styles, the finishing moves, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of the indie creators are new. Let's just be honest about it, and maybe they hadn't thought about how a finishing move in a video game would go with my character. And so Aries has some latitude, to make it look really cool and make it be unique. But that's what he's done. Do you have any of the videos of movement that I sent over to you?
Yes.
I'd love to see it.
I do. Let me pull that up because I was looking through this.
While you're getting it, I'll give you some background, just some technical background, because not everybody is technical. But those who are, they want the data. And so I'll just give it to you. He used Unreal Engine 5, realistic graphics. This is not cartoonish graphics. You can do that. There's lots of great different styles out there, but he's using realistic graphics. This is our beta level. We have the music not in these videos. It's actually coming from an independent beats battle company in St. Louis, where I'm from. They have a whole bunch of people that create beats like hip hop sounds every month, and they compete. And so we took that award ceremony and that competition, and we were taking the winners and putting them into the game. And so we have, nice. Yeah. So it's real beats from real hip hop artists that are doing it to get discovered. We're putting them in as the background sound. So we're going to have that in about 3 or 4 weeks. We'll have those uploaded. You guys will be a part of it then too. But so great music, very fluid, very Street Fighter, the new style. Or if you want to go back to the 90s, very killer in style.
There we go. So
we have. We'll go ahead and show it, and we'll talk some more afterward.
Ooh.
There we go. Turn that down a bit. But I love it's still fluid combat in the early alpha state that it is. Looks fun.
Yeah. It definitely has good fluidity. You have combos. You have character swap out. We do the 1v1 like you're seeing, but we also have 3v3. We have the arcade mode, which is what I always loved back in the Street Fighter days when you'd go and you'd play the arcade mode through. At the end of beating M. Bison or whatever, you'd actually see the history of Guile, or whatever character, Blanca. Well, we have that as well, but the story will be from the comic book that it comes from. So that's pretty cool.
That's great. That's an awesome little tie-in. That's what you got to do to see the backstory, because that was one of the best parts of those games, especially like Tekken. Oh, we got to see what this character's ending is, and it would keep going. You had to go through the whole lot of them. It was really great. I love just the whole, even the characters. Here's another one for the motion. just a badass finisher right there. You know, it's very easy to fall into the gameplay and, you know, want
Yeah.
to try out all the characters, get all the moves. That's one of the best things about fighting games. The best part about this is that it's paying homage to all the, you know, traditional fighting games that we've loved in the past, as well as, you know, creating its own with these different and new characters. So,
Right. And, this is really when we're doing the Kickstarter, which is launching. I think it's going to be September 20th, but it might be the 24th. I'm not remembering. But either way, whoever's watching, definitely our Kickstarter link and sign up for updates and to watch us and to be in the early adopters. Just click over and put your email in to have us get a hold of you because, be honest, there's updates every day. If you go to the Facebook pages, which is I'll get you right now it's Aries video game, but it's gonna be switching to an official Megaverse Facebook page. You go there, you'll see tons of different moves from different characters, videos, part of the production, the back scenes of how the characters were molded on digitally. Um, the artwork is amazing, top quality for sure. All the backdrops of the different scenes that we're in. I mean, it's a real video game. It's a real fighter game, and
oh yeah,
that level just blew me away. One thing I always respected for Ares is that his stuff is never almost good. It's always premium, and so that really made me happy to be part of this team with him because his skills are just savant.
the one image I really love is on my shared screen now, and it's the 2v2, but the amount of detail that is in this bar. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like it just pulls from even like Injustice and Mortal Kombat. It has that feeling of a AAA game. And the fact that he did this by
Absolutely.
himself is so super impressive.
Yeah. 100%. You can't. He's like the Da Vinci of the indie circuit because he does the line arts, he does the penciling, but he also does the coloring, he does the lettering, he does and now the graphic design, the video game creation, the 3D modeling. He does everything for these indie creators, and the fact that he chose indie creators to go with, he could have chose like a whole bunch of image characters.
Mm-hmm.
He could have chose a whole bunch of Boom Studios characters, but he didn't. He said let's support the indie creator, and that meant a lot to me for sure.
100%.
Got to see something
especially
different type of work, different type of characters that are put out. I mean, those guys have besides the money aspect and the attention aspect, they've already have it. So these independent, they'd be tickled pink. I mean, I would be. So that'd be great.
Yeah, 100%. And something that people will want to know: we're not charging $60. It's a $29 fee. It's a Steam download code. So for your Steam engine on your PC, our goal is to move it for PS5 and Xbox. And Aries is saying that he has the path to do that. We're not going to be on, Wii or whatever. Nintendo's hard to work with on this kind of thing, but definitely PS5 and Xbox is in the future. For this Kickstarter, it's going to be for the PC model that goes through Steam. Steam is really easy to work for independent creators, and so we're glad to work with them too. And it's not only going to be the game. If you tag on to a higher tier, you might get additional costumes for each character, skins.
nice.
Maybe we have a hardback art book coming out, and art will come from each of the comic books, but also from the game mostly.
So
There's a tier where you can get the first issues or the backstories of each character in PDF form. We're trying to incorporate as much as we can of the original comic books into the game. We don't want it to just be the game's representation of these characters. We want them represented both in how they were originally created and how they've been transferred into the game. So I think it's an experience for the Kickstarter supporter. You're going to get to be part of this movement, not just getting a one shot and being done. You're gonna be getting many levels deep of production here.
Yeah.
well, that's great.
That's the best part about it is that he's so passionate about what he's doing because you're right, absolutely right about Steam. I on a previous podcast platform I ran, as well as this one, I've been able to find real gems. And some of the best ones are made by one guy, and it's his passion project. I've saw, a couple people throughout my time game content creating of the game blows up, and it's the next best thing. I'm forgetting the name of this one shooter. I forget what it was called because he changed it for the official release, but it was amazing. And in Unreal Engine, rain droplets, it was a first-person shooter. It was fantastic.
Right.
And that came from Steam. He got it onto the other major consoles and not Nintendo, because they're very finicky people over there. I mean, they could not put out another product and they won't go bankrupt for longer than the rest of us have on this earth.
Right, that's true. That's true. Well, you have to hand it to Nintendo for making great games and not being afraid to stay in their lane. A lot of people told them early on they should go the way of the PlayStation went. Go to Mortal Kombat or graphics and more blood, and Nintendo just stayed true to itself, and it's carved its own path, and I respect them for that. But they don't yield to the indie crowd. It's just not their platform. That's more of a Steam thing.
Yeah, and it has traditionally been like that. I mean, outside of the original Nintendo, which was very easy to make a game. Like, there were, especially Nintendo, Atari, there were a bunch of games out there because anybody could make them. Now, it takes a lot of skill and, knowledge and just sheer passion and determinism to actually get it done. And when you have a bunch of people who are already doing that for their comics and giving them a platform to say, hey, I really like your character. Can I put him in my game? That's one of the best things I've heard. It's great.
Since we put out this Kickstarter launch and started putting posts about it, we've gotten comic people commenting, "Hey, use my character, use my character." That's going to have to come in round 2. This is called round 1. This is our first release, our game. Round 2 will be like Street Fighter 2. It'll be like the next game, and we'll have different characters in each time we do it, and that means we get to celebrate more independent creators, and that's a huge goal of Ares. Some of the people that are in this, some of the comic books that are represented, are from Chris Siloff's Spectre and Simity. That's his character. His comic book is called Crit, C-R-I-T. You might have seen it through the Facebooks and other social media. He's pretty popular. And then Raina, the character from Skeletal Press, that's Ryan Cummings' character. That's the Viking lady with the axe.
Yes.
So she's done so well in the comics, and he was happy to throw his weight behind the project. Right now we have, I think it's, 1, 2, 3, 7, 12. We have 12 characters in there right now, and each character is backed up by a separate character that Ares created in his experience in comic books. So you're going to definitely have him. His thumbnail will be in there as well. It's not, he's only doing it only for independent creators. He's also having his characters in there too, which is important. And so each character, when you do a 3v3, or if you want to swap out in the middle of a battle, you'll swap out to one of his characters. And it's great to see his work. His work is just so pro.
It all looks super impressive. I don't get much time, if any, to game anymore, being editing and all the stuff I have on my plate, but I definitely want to try it out because it's one of those things that a fighting game is anybody can sit down and play it.
Yep.
Because
there's no
so many
big
controls.
learning curve. You have to do the moves, that's true, but there's no big learning curve. There's no 90-hour commitments. There's no learning the buttons because you don't know what S, W, A, what buttons do what. You don't know, and none of that happens. If you're a phone gamer, you have your phone games. This is going to translate right on to your typing.
Nice. That's even nice. That's even better.
Now it won't be on your phone. I wasn't trying to imply.
Well, I know, but the simplicity of the phone, type of thing, dash in, dash out, strike, and different ones like that, special moves. Wow, that's great. Yeah.
So it's very impressive, and his artwork alone, the characters are one of the most important things in a fighting game. But when you look at all the characters, they all look like they have something else going on. There's something different
Right.
about them. They're not all very cookie cutter. Like, hey, this guy looks like Guile. This guy looks. There's none of
Right.
that. This is all original, and each one I already have a couple favorites to where I want to try that one out, and I gotta see
Yeah,
what they do.
you have the girl with the axe. You have the kind of god character with his scepter. You have
Mhm.
the hip hop character with his street fighting skills. You have the martial artist, obviously. You have my guy with guns, Ace from my series or from Bloodline. I mean, you have you have a jester. You have a couple women with different backgrounds and different skill sets. Maybe four different ladies in there that are fighters. I always liked playing with the ladies. That's probably multiple levels deep with that comment. But but
Oh, well.
you have you have to have a broad spectrum of characters, and that's what that's what happens with this vigilante combat. You can. It's not like you're getting just one size fits all, which is really
Mhm.
important.
Right.
There's something there for everybody, and like I said, fighting games are some of the easiest to pick up. And hey,
The most
let's go
fun
one round.
too.
Yeah, let's go for one round. All right, we got time, and you can
Yeah.
fit it in anywhere. It's
4
not
o'clock
like
in the morning
Madden,
later.
or even like Call of Duty, to where all right, now I have to wait to get on the server. Okay, now I have to wait for somebody to get on the match. None of that. It's just sit down, play, done. All right, now we can go.
Yeah. And we do have that online capability. Obviously, it's going to be a tournament online on Steam. That makes it fun, makes it people across the world can play. And a lot of indie creators are worldwide. In the Heroic Awards, we had winners from 7 countries, like everywhere. And so technology has brought us together as a world, which is, I think, is amazing. People talk about the hardship that different parts of this time period we're in is it's so hard. But I actually think I'm with Elon Musk on this is the best time to live in the
Oh, yeah.
history of the world. It is what you make of it. You're your own block or your own champion, and so Ares has done that. He's been his own champion and he's created these things. All the comic book creators have done their own path and done their passions. And wherever the country they're from, bring them on and play at 4 in the morning because that's probably 2 in the afternoon somewhere else.
Exactly. And especially with online, that just brings to you can just sit down and play this whenever. Hey, can't sleep? I'll play a fighting game online.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a way to, entertain yourself. And while the insomnia is not going anywhere, neither is the game. It's always going to be there for you. I mean, unless you don't have power, then you're kind of fucked in. But it's okay.
Yep.
But
I have another twist if I'll throw it in here as well.
okay.
And I was hoping to get some feedback. So maybe you guys can give me some feedback.
Okay.
Well, we talked about Heroic Awards. Very proud of that. We talked about Vigilante Combat video game. Very proud of that. Another project that I'm doing, because it never stops, is a TTRPG. This is like a D&D type variant game for my comic series. And I wanted to ask, what do you guys think about independent comic creators taking their creation? Yes, we went to video games just now, but taking it and going it to a D&D direction. What do you think?
I
Fantastic.
have no problem with it at all. Go for it.
This man's been trying to get me to do a D&D podcast for 4 years since I met him, and we started one online. We're doing another one. We have it scheduled out with our DM, Joe Clay. He has a nice table, and we're going to be doing a live session and putting hit points and half measures back out there. But, yeah. Anything
I think
Dungeons
it's
and Dragons,
great,
it would match
depending on
well.
what type of genre it is. Some characters, not everybody is, that classic sword and sorcery. But if it's hunt and search and kill and destroy, I have no problem with the modern day or in the future, past, or in some remote part in space. I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Well, one of the things that I came up with, I'm battling against, is for me, I'm creating the world and some of the powers and how the physics work and all that, but I don't want to have to spend the next 10 years creating 7 source books and 7 adventure compilations. Some people, this is their life forever, and they have treasure troves of amazing content they created. But I just know that's not for me. So what I did was this. Tell me what you think. my world can be set in any time period of Earth as long as it is within the gods and powers of the creation of Orphan Bloodline. And so, how you would start a campaign is you choose an era. It could be antiquity, classical, Renaissance, Enlightenment, modern day, or space. So we have several different eras. You pick one, and that will limit you to what technologies are available of the day. Then you choose a culture and country that was prominent in that period. So it could be Rome, it could be China, it could be whatever's prominent in that period. It could be U.S. And then now you know your background of your setting. And I said, I don't want to build the backgrounds of these settings of all these different uh, cultures. You know, D&D, they do, you have your Lost Realms, you have your Eberron campaigns. I can't create all that. And so I'm approaching independent creators who have these series already. And I say, let's tie in your book to the world that I'm creating, as long as it's 5e, you know, and as long as it's you're set in, let's say, Renaissance, then your books can be utilized by my people to give them storyline. And I don't have to create that. What do you think about that? Kind of like harvesting the info that's out there already and teaming up with other creators.
I mean, I think it's fantastic. I mean, actually, somebody bringing in something that they kind of nurtured and held all their life to create, whether it's story or whether it's an illustrator just putting it together, and bringing it into a wider audience. Oh man, that is like yeah, that's great to put it mildly.
I think there's a lot of TTRPGs that have been created that people haven't seen, just like comic books. And I think that losing our stories means that we're losing. If people don't see them and they go by the wayside, we're losing part of our zeitgeist of our age. And I'd like to harvest the qualities that's there as best we can to keep it on the forefront and give it more legs. Because there's a lot of options. I get it. There's only so much money and so much time to go around.
Sure.
But I don't want to lose some of these diamonds in the rough that have been created. And if we can collaborate as a community, I think that makes a lot more sense than just trying to go it your own way, one book on, in and out, and you're done. And I don't know, it didn't make any sense to me. So collaboration's better. I contacted, see, being that it's based in the world, the real world that we're in, not some fantasy world. So we don't have any elves, we don't have any dwarves, we don't have that. We don't have the Lord of the Rings side, and so we're going to use cryptids instead. Cryptids would be Sasquatch and Loch Ness Monster and werewolf, etc., and Frankenstein and this kinds of myth that we have in our current world. You take those characters. Well, I contacted a company that does already their own cryptids manual with 100 beasts manual in 5e. So I said, you mind if I just use your manual and we just do a reprint with both of our logos on it, and then we get publicity for you and publicity for me, and I don't have to create it again, but you don't have to sell it. I'll sell it for you. And he's like, definitely. let's repurpose the media. And that's the kind of feedback that I'm getting from people, and I really like seeing that.
It's a great idea because now you're lightening your load, getting more people on board for this amazing idea, and it's also highlighting their work, and it's not just teaming up with, the leading tabletop, company. You're going out to different people who are already doing this and saying, hey, let's collab. Now this whole idea is going to get stronger.
Yeah, and the 5e base is really what keeps it all together. Because if we start switching it up and going to, okay, this is a D12 system or this is a D6 system instead of staying with the traditional D20, that doesn't really cross over as easily. So I have to find people who want to collaborate, who are in the 5e traditional system rules, who are not in the elves and fantasy world. There's some barriers there, but there's a lot of content out there that does fit, and so we're trying to gather those in.
And definitely talking about it, because I remember you mentioning the tabletop RPG last time and seeing how it evolved to this time. It's a great way to keep the original idea alive and then nurture it and allow it to grow and see where it goes, see how crazy this idea will come, because it's not going to be like anything else. And that's going to be Marketing 101, one of the things that's going to jump out at people. Like, I've never seen anything else like this. I need that.
Yeah. I hope that's how it goes. the hard part about all of it, there's two hard parts. And I think that's what comes across to most independent creators in the comics world is, do you have enough money to market it and push it? Do you have enough time to market it and push it? And then is your creation of a high enough level that people will grab on when they do hear about it and see it? And those are the three difficulties: is time, money, and quality. And what
Sure.
we're I don't know. I mean, everybody's facing those barriers, so we hope to satisfy those, but it's a tough road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a long road ahead, but when you're able to help another person and get your idea to move forward in a way that you didn't expect it to,
Yeah.
now that's also another relationship that's going to help you out later on down the line. It's going to keep the snowball
Yeah.
rolling, and you're just going to
Well,
keep picking them up.
this is a good point you make. You want to build the relationships. You don't want to burn any bridges. You want to build the relationships, and as you bring people into a bigger group, a collaborative group, which is what we found with Heroic Awards. I mean, I invited, I don't know, 40 people, 50 people to be in the group of the advisory board, and we ended up with about 15. And that just tells you there's people who are in the industry who are doing it for their own reasons, which is totally great. But maybe they're not into the collaborative effort, or maybe they don't have time right now, or whatever the reason. And so you end up finding the people who really want to be a part of it, like Perjangers, really want to be a part of what you're doing, like Almega with Comic Crusaders. You find people who really want to be part of the group, and then you move forward with them because we're all we're all doing, while other people might be interested in just observing. So it takes a while to get through it, but you have to find the right people to collaborate with.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree, 100%. The right combination makes everything go a whole lot smoother.
It definitely does. I mean, just even getting Perjangers logo at C2E2 this year was still one of the best things to happen, because that's one of the most nerdy places you could be
Yeah.
in that area is C2E2 at that place. And what is everybody seeing? Perjangers and Wallhangers. And the first thought is, what is a Perjanger?
Right.
I've never even heard
No.
of that word.
It was so nice to see the all the people come together, all the different. We're all working together. We're all in the beehive trying to make it happen, and everybody was volunteering their time. And we had great sponsors. You have to give it to them. They afforded us our house when we were there and some of our food and gas, but that's about all. Maybe one of our airplane tickets from Boston came in off of some sponsor money, but so give them props. But a lot of it was just volunteers and giving their time and money and efforts. And I really appreciated people jumping on and seeing the vision. And so I don't know the next step of management besides doing what we already did, but is there an even better way? I don't know. This has been a great first year, and now how does the second year come about? And I think the good thing about me not knowing means that we're open to all the ideas. And anyone out there who has an idea of any of the levels of the video game, of the Heroic Awards, of the TTRPG, whatever it is, you have any ideas, contact us and let's collaborate. Let's work together. We don't know all the answers. We just know we have the energy to go out and create. And
Okay,
if we can
great.
with people who are active in that, who want to be part of it, then jump on board, come on board.
That's a great message, because
Great.
somebody out there is listening to this and saying, dude, I have that idea. Contact them. Reaching out is the only way that the dream is going to come alive for you. You have to want it, and keeping it up here is only going to torture yourself. You got to let it out. You got to get it out, and then you'll feel a lot better doing something that you actually love instead of just torturing yourself at a 40-hour work week job that you hate. Going home and kicking your dog or something. I don't know. I don't know what those
How many
words
dogs have you kicked? You kicked a lot of dogs, Matt.
are. I have not kicked any. Not accidentally, yeah. But he learns. He doesn't stand there anymore. You learn, or you learn to get out of the way, or you get kicked. My grandmother used
Do
to
you have
do that.
any? Tell us about your updates, guys. What do you guys? What's happening in your neck of the woods?
Let's see. We got Frank and I going down to the Ocean City Comic Con in December. My brother and I are going to be shooting a special for Lugnuts It's a road trip special. We're going from Parkside to Biloxi, Mississippi for cruising the coast. And
Yeah.
we're trying to get our good friend Michael Florio on board as well, so he can come down and enjoy the trip down to his neck of the woods. But yeah, Michael's going to be in there with that. And then I got the charity event at Schlegel Park in York next Saturday on the 7th. So that and
You're
books
too
on
active.
Amazon.
You're too busy.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 books on Amazon now, and I already started shooting the third. Picture Perfect Small Towns. First one's York and Media, PA. The second one is Delco, Volume 1. So both of those.
You know, Amazon has made becoming an author so much easier. You know, the direct print service they offer. I know comic creators who are using them to push their books.
Oh yeah.
So there's like I said earlier, man, this is the best time to live if you want to do stuff like creating.
Yeah.
But a lot of creators are afraid of the technology when it comes to the AI switch. I mean, that's.
Mhm.
I mean, think about the coders, the video game producers, for instance. We were talking about Vigilante Combat. How long before AI just can create that? You know. So what do you guys think about? What do you think about the impact, or where's your thoughts on the whole AI thing?
So Mike and I, we do a podcast called Silly Little Podcast, and one of the stories that we did talk about, because we talk about science and history and ancient cultures and stuff that pop up in the news. One
Yeah.
was Colin Kaepernick putting $3 million investing into an AI comic book company that is going to allow, I'll use this word loosely, creators the ability, without any kind of talent or having to pick up a pencil or a pen at all, to create a comic book. And I think
Wow.
that's fine, but what you should not be able to do is you should not be able to put that in an award show like the Heroic Awards, because you
Right.
didn't do anything. The AI did. Ooh, and then 2, if you want to sell it, go right ahead. Put a sticker on it that says this was made by AI.
Well, Kickstarter.
Those 2 things, I'm fine.
Kickstarter has a button you have to click saying, "Is any AI used in the creation of this?" And so I like that they are separating out the media.
Mhm.
I mean, I kind of see it like separating out the sports. We've seen all the transgender kind of thing in the Olympics. I don't know if I'm right about that, whatever it is. But there's a separation happening of like, hey, we're okay with people playing, but let's make sure it's on a fair and equal
Yeah. You
round.
you can't have like an
Then-
800-pound, woman saying that was, a man next year, and then have her go against,
Right.
a 200-pound woman who's been a woman her whole life. That is not fair. Physiologically, they're different.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the AI falls into that type of
Mhm.
segregation, if we can use the word, where we need to have different categories. There's different weight classes in boxing. There should be different classes when it comes to creation. And if you're the writer, I have no issues at all with writers who have no cash, who want to get their story out there and don't know how to do the system or the industry, and they get some AI art to give them a cover for their novel. I have a buddy who did that, and he took a lot of flack online that his cover was AI. He's like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know, why is everybody upset? I mean, I just used my Mid Journey and have a cover now. He doesn't. So not everybody is so deeply involved, and we need to accept people for where they're at and just lay the rules down. And the rules, I think you're right. They're segmented. This
Right.
is comic creation, and then this is computer creation, and they're different.
Yeah.
Right. Well, as far as there have been writers that I think it's a bit not putting out a lot of effort to go find a cover artist. Everything from Reddit to ArtSpace to DeviantArt. I mean, there's plenty of people. There's plenty of people that love a reasonable paycheck for it. It's just that it's almost free. That's the thing that I think people see the AI for. I mean, we have for our D&D game that we play.
Yeah.
I checked out the AI, see what it was like. It took 15 to less than 20 adjectives to come up with a character, and
Yeah.
he did it in 20 seconds,
Right.
and it's amazing.
Yep.
I think if you do it for free, I think it should be relegated to medical thing to help doctors just get whatever this, how to fix this or whatever it is, mechanical and architectural things to make sure things are secure. As far as art, I don't see it as art as far unless you're a poet laureate. You can come up with fantastic adjectives because that's all it is. Um,
Right.
Matt's character took 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 seconds to create. So a comic book, I think that's not a comic book. It's stories that are being told in a way. Someone learned nothing about perspective, composition, black and white, color, weight lines, ink, types of paper. Learned nothing. Even with digital, drawing and inking. I can almost get through with that, but you know what? At the end of the day, I still work traditionally. I have a piece that I can have for the rest of my life, if not sell it down the road. They don't.
Yeah.
But I don't think that someone just saying, I'm a writer and I need a cover. Someone didn't really do a lot of effort. They saw that I'm thinking the least expensive way to do it and
Right.
less, but creativity is very, I mean, anybody with adjectives, some kid in the fifth grade, is making right now the greatest Goku that he could ever create simply because
Right.
he comes up with the adjectives for his character.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think
That's
it's a
not really
tool.
creative. That's almost the realm of magic, so.
Yeah. But it's
I don't
more
know
of
what to say.
it's
No,
more of a tool
it,
that needs to be used, not
so
with this creative wise. If you use it like I use
It's
AI
a
all the
tool.
time
It's a tool to be used, and
with my
artists use brushes like tools,
with my
so that's fine. But I had to learn how to use a brush.
and that's fair.
It's a little
But
strange.
if it's like me, I'm
so
taking a picture of a place and I'm adding in a dragon. I'm adding in a herd of elephants or a herd of lions. I'm adding in something that is not obviously wasn't there because it's for promotion. Hey, you want to see my work? This is altered. You want to see the unaltered one? It's in this book.
yeah.
It's here. It's at this place. Using it as a promotional tool is fine, but when you're using it to create something, that's where I'm like, hey, the AI isn't even there yet. Okay,
Well, the thing about AI and the cost, you mentioned cost, it's almost free, you said. So my buddy who did this, he's very good on Midjourney, and he lived in China for 12 years. He has access to all the people who could do it for him for cheap right over there when he was in China. Uh, it took him about 4 hours to make a cover with his own time and effort.
Hmm.
Well, if you get paid $20 an hour, that's $80. You could pay somebody $100 to do a cover for you. I mean, maybe it's low, but it's
That's
not
love.
far.
yeah.
It's
Right.
not far off for some people. So
Right.
he could afford it if he quantified his time, and that's what I found with AI is no dollars out the door, but there's a lot of time invested by the person who's doing the art of the Mid-Journey adjectives. I mean, what you're saying about you just do the adjectives, it's not that way when you're creating the art with Midjourney. You'll get an image and it'll be wrong. You'll change it. You have to
Oh,
do two
yeah.
together.
Well, true.
There's
True. Yeah,
there's
there are things you can add. There are things that they get. Hands that you get six fingers, or
yeah,
the sword is like through the elbow or something like that. Yeah,
right.
fix this. But
And you have to go and have the software to fix that. And so he goes in and he fixes it. It takes him about 4 hours to do his own cover. And my thought when I first heard about this was AI free, and then I started doing the math, and I said, well, it's not free actually. It's just time versus cash. And I'd rather be creating and bring on someone who's a great artist and give him the money and me go and create with my time. So I'm allocating it as a time value of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of creators are in the position to do that. They just don't have the cash.
Yeah.
yeah, true. They're right. It is tight. Not everybody can afford a budget of a guy that's going to take an oil painting. It's going to take him a week to do, and he's going to charge $1,800. It's not
Right.
easy. It's
Yeah.
not easy. But you know what? That painter has to eat. He has to somehow, keep himself with a roof over his head and food on the table, and may not
Right.
may gotten used to not buying new clothes all the time, but at least likes clean clothes. So that is a reality. So
Yeah.
the
Well,
fixing the person does for AI is, you circle it, you move on, and 20 minutes, you add another minute to it, another 2 minutes to it. Even if you add 10 minutes to it, it costs nothing.
I love the position you have. I love what I'm hearing from you, and I definitely see you as having decided your position on this, and I respect that. I'm going to throw a question at you, and I would like a real. Let's talk. Let's get the real numbers out here. So there's a guy who owns the largest green screen company in Atlanta. I don't know his name. You'll find him online. He had an $800 million loan to do something like 12 more green screens because Atlanta's movie industry blew up when Walking Dead went down there. Like the whole thing Atlanta just blew up because it didn't have to deal with the crap that California's built up in its
Right.
movie industry. They
Right.
got some benefits for being in Atlanta. So hey, it's capitalism, whatever. As soon as he saw the creation of what the AI could build when it comes to the world and the backgrounds, he canceled the loan for $800 million and stopped all production on the 12 green screens because he says the era of green screens is not going to be expanding. It's going to be contracting, if anything, because of how fast and how much digitally can be created with the software.
Right.
I mean, that means we're going to be losing a lot of artists who would be doing costumes and doing makeup and the people who are backup supporters, extras or food deliverers or stage managers. I mean, all this will be gone if this billionaire guy's prediction is correct, and he's putting his money where his mouth is and canceling his orders because the AI is taking over the video. Now, if you have the position that you have, which I respect totally, on comic books, how do we then also watch movies?
They've been trying to lower the cost of making movies since day one, for what it is. Instead of going out and renting, from a clothier, a mink suit. There's somebody in a restaurant around the corner who checked in his wife's mink suit and somebody swiped it. How much did it cost them? Nothing. That's actual things that movie producers used to do. Their girlfriend's clothes or whoever else. They're not going to rent it. So the idea that this guy wants to use CGI, which also takes an artist to make, creativity, it's just done digitally. But the backgrounds for AI, you've gotten rid of matte painting. Who does matte painting anymore for backgrounds in movies? I haven't seen one. The ones that I saw were just so magical and so seamless back in the day. Even if you look at it now, some of them are just amazing. But that's the way of things, but everyone would love to see it still. You wouldn't know the difference anyway. It's just the time. How much does it cost to hire a matte painter? How fast can he make a volcano scene, for a background that's going to be shot for 3 seconds?
Right. Right.
Yes, it has a value. It has a value. You want to eliminate the guy who does matte painting? Okay, fine. You do digital painting. Somebody that's an artist. Maybe that matte painter now switched over from acrylics and oils to now doing digital painting. Mm-hmm. AI is well, look, we used it for our D&D game. We're making nothing off of it. I wanted to see what it took. I used Leonardo AI, and it took me 20 seconds.
Right.
If the guy wants to do it, hey, I'm not going to stand in his way with a big old sign, don't use AI. Don't use AI. It's my choice of how I see things.
I think it's going to be hard for viewers who are watching all these streaming channels like Netflix and Discovery and all of them that are everywhere, Hulu. Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard. We don't know if those were created with AI, and they probably were partially created with AI over the next 5 years. It's going to be happening more and more.
Sure.
I just don't know how to quantify our media intake when it comes to AI creation. With comics, we've set a strong line, and I agree with that line. I just am trying to be honest and fair with my position across. I'm libertarian, so I try to have a philosophy and stay with it. That's what I try to do. And consistency is very tough. When you, how do I watch a movie that has AI, but I won't read a comic book that has it? I'm finding it hard to balance.
The movie is kind of thrust upon you as far as choice. Well, so is the comic book, but you can put it aside as well. Yeah, I don't. I mean, if somebody wants to create a comic book as far as AI, I really scrutinize it. Because I would scrutinize a penciler who at Marvel, DC, or whoever. I would scrutinize their work, their perspective, their storytelling, their composition as well, and the guys who does the inking and the guy who does the coloring at the same thing. For something that's done so quickly and cost someone nothing. No, I really, well, I'll stop saying nothing. I would say very little.
There you go.
Yeah.
24 pages. It takes me a lot. It takes a lot of other artists a lot of effort to do 24 pages in general.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's tough. I should, like Matt says, I really don't want to see it, in a competition. That competition, the famous guy who had a competition for his comic book cover, 2 of his pieces were AI. It's
Right.
like.
Well, there was also
that's a little hole in me for coming to find out that they were both AI that won.
Yeah.
That hurt. What about the copying? There's when you're a cover artist and you have so much work to do and you're very popular, and then you end up, kind of copying someone else's work, 70%, and then you make it adjusted based on the character. I mean, there's that happening. It's hard to say. It's like we're in the wild west of this. We don't have the rules laid out for us yet. We have to create the rules.
It's a new piece of technology, but as far as copying is artists do, that you look at something, reference is one thing. I can look over and look at reference as another artist. Outright what I call swiping and hacking was the term, has been around since before John Buscema. Okay, that they were taking images that were already done, and sometimes on Facebook you can see some of the artists, somebody actually does a thing that does the comparison. Now I can see some artists can look at something and get, because they're talented illustrators, because the cut straight out of your head is impossible. It really takes a lot to really do that. Very few people can do it. There are some. It's very difficult to do. After a while, there's but so many positions you can put the body in. You kind of most of them. But if you really want that feel that's an actual live person, it's okay to look at a live picture of whoever or whatever and get that image. So I don't have a problem with that so much. That doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it should be used as a tool, and it's not something that we should just swear off, but we put those protections in place. Like you're talking about with the movies, they're talking about, just using people in the background and having that generated by AI. So that gets rid of those extras. Don't need those pesky little bugs around. Guess what? We don't need the green screen. Hey, we have an LED wall. We just created the entire city with Unreal 5 engine. That's stuff that they're doing now. Disney's doing it with Star Wars in the round. They just have the little set right here. Okay, we're going to see this much, and everything else is digitally on the screen. The actors like it more because it lets them actually feel like they're in that scene. Oh, I feel like I'm on Endor right now. It's one of those things that, if you use it right and you use it like it should be, like a tool, it'll help people. It'll help those actors visualize, oh, that's right. This is what I have an idea on how I can do this scene because it's right in front of me. As opposed to where that would be more limited shots. You'd go to location, fly to New Zealand. You don't really have to do that now because you have that technology. So there is an answer, that we can find, especially, hey, why don't we limit it to this? Even if you want to use background, random background people for your movie and just have that be generated. Okay. But why don't you have the people who are being in that background image, pay them? If you're going to use the AI for their face and likeness, pay that person.
Sure.
Now that person, I'm in a bunch of AI background stuff. It's okay. Oh yeah, I'm an AI background actor. I just go in one day, I wear a whole bunch of different outfits, and they put me in the background.
Is there a way? Let's talk about movies, for instance. Is there a way to have a software observe the download, the Netflix movie, and say yes, this was created by AI, and no, it wasn't? Is there a way? I'm sure there's got to be a software that'll do that.
Sure.
If it does do that, we could stamp these movies with AI created or not. Should we do that? In the past, we stamped them with rated R, rated PG-13, because we were giving them a rating based on what the content was, and people could watch with. And now we're rating restaurants this many calories, this many whatever. Do we do a stamp of AI was used in the creation of this? I think we should.
Yeah. I mean, even when you're looking at when I put out my books, I put out one on Amazon directly through KDP, and I put one through Ingram, and it's still available on Amazon. That's the creator tip of the day. Just go to Ingram. Amazon buys off them anyway. They were originally a bookstore, online bookstore, so it makes sense. I just put the two and two together. But each time that I put those books out, one of the questions, well, do you own this? Well, yeah, obviously I wouldn't put it out there if I don't own the pictures. Public domain is amazing. So the other question was anything generated by AI? Common question. No. It was a photograph. I edit the photograph just like every other photographer. But like I said, I only use the AI images to promote I was here taking pictures. Look at the line. Oh, that's crazy. That kind of stuff for promotion, for, filling out backgrounds, I think it's fine. We can find ways to set up checks and balances in this where, it may be in the future that they may even have it now, that something can scan through and tell you if it's generated by AI, because teachers already have that for papers. Was this created by ChatGPT? So creating a software that can see if something was created by AI, I'd say that's probably not that hard not that big of an ask, really, because, all right, teachers needed this because this is how students were passing class.
Right.
God, if I was a kid today, man, whew.
Like what do we do? I'd say AI is like 5 years old, 6 years old, 5 years old.
It's young.
Yeah.
It's young. It's really young. I mean, literally, what did we do, 10 years ago for movies? CGI and, green screen.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 years before that, they actually built the things. There was nothing to finish off the castle. That was a matte painting. You did half the thing, and the rest of it was a matte painted effect. So it's just the time. But I loved seeing the how George Lucas, the behind the scenes of making Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, really? They didn't have that whole tom-tom that was rocking back and forth. It wasn't the whole thing. Oh, really? Get out of here.
Or how they got the X-Wings.
Right. I just loved it. I mean, I liked it as a kid because it was magic.
You just,
as an adult, where the illusion is somewhat gone. But, I love it.
And that was it. Separate locations in the same shot, but it was magic. You're like, how did he do that? And one thing, it was on one of the recent behind the scenes of Star Wars, is that George Lucas did that. They're like, all right, George, set it right here. Okay. They set up a shot again. Okay. And then they show him everything played together. He goes, wow, how'd you do that? Like, you did it just now. But it was revolutionary at the time, and we're at that point. Like you're saying, we are at that point with AI that it's important what we do with it now, because it's going to set up a precedent for what we do with it in the future.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that, Sarah Connor's, Terminator end goal here. It depends on the person who programmed it.
Right.
I also think that we have to allow for our own life experience bias to be checked in some way. When I'm 45 next month. I remember all the 80s cartoons, but we can each name them right now. There's like a dozen, and that's like all there is. We know them, we can name them. My kids watch anime, I watch anime with them. You cannot name the number of animes. There's an infinite number of animes. Okay. So we always get online on these 90s nostalgia Facebook groups or the 80s nostalgia groups. And we say, oh, back in our day when we had G.I. Joe or what have you. And I'm like, yeah, but they have Death Note. And that's a pretty cool anime. Or, they have, whatever is the hottest one. And I think we need to say what we had back in the day was awesome. And what they have today, 30 years later, is also awesome. Mm-hmm. And we need to appreciate it for what it is. And the more that we stay stalwart with our way was the way, I think we just age ourselves and we're out. I think we need to really accept that Blockbuster's dead. Certain things are no longer with us.
Bad business practices happened.
Maybe the AI stamp is appropriate, but when 80% of the movies that come out on Netflix have AI in them, is it really even applicable anymore? That's going to be a problem 5-10 years from now. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, I'd watch it anyway. It's not like I wouldn't watch it if it was a movie I wanted to see or a genre I didn't want to see. I wanted to see. I'd watch it anyway. And I go, yeah, okay. It better be good. That AI better be real good.
Having at least
I watched Rebel Moon just this week. You guys seen that on Netflix? The Rebel Moon movies.
I saw the previews for it. Yeah.
It felt like he wanted to make a Star Wars movie. They said no, and he found a way around it just by changing one or two things.
Yeah. All that's true. I'm not going to talk about the content. I mean, maybe they're acting this and that. But I felt like the effort to produce something of a Star Wars-like movie, meaning you had some sets, you had some green screens, but you had some real-life sets. You had people. They built a river, they did work to make the set, and I really appreciated that on some of those pieces. And then when you got to the part that was CGI, it was like, oh, obviously CGI, not as good. And then you saw the real life bridges and mechanisms, and I'm like, wow, this is what I loved from Star Wars. I loved the real tangible graphics. So there will never be, I don't think, a way to make it feel as real is, but they're getting close. And now, like you said, it's just like, okay, it was what it was. Let's move on and keep watching. That's kind of where I'm at. And Rebel Moon brought me there, where it was a touch of the past, but a lot of the modern CGI, and I just don't know how I feel about it yet.
Yeah.
Right. Man, it's still new, so you got plenty of time to feel about it. So it'll be around. So.
Yeah, and it's the things that people can do with AI. It's like AI, quantum computing. There are things that we're going to be able to figure out and learn from this that we would have never been able to. So if we wield the tool properly, it could be a scalpel that we can surgically go in and see, all right, this is what we were missing. It can be used in positive ways. Like Frank was saying, you want the doctor to have AI, the architects, the engineers. Yeah, give them AI. Make sure it's good. You got to make sure the AI is, programmed properly, and it can be a very powerful tool that will, boost every industry forward, especially, teaching, architecture and all stuff like that, stuff that we haven't even thought of yet, that we'll be able to obtain through a powerful tool like AI is not lost on me too, because, it's like Facebook always likes to show me those old propaganda pictures from the 1900s with Edison and Tesla, the whole electricity propaganda of people getting electrocuted with all the power lines and everybody just dying. There's always that kind of fear-mongering around a new idea.
Sure.
And that's not going to go away. But once we figured out electricity, I think everybody was a lot happier.
Yeah, I posted that about dying in electrical wires. I posted a graphic about that. It was a cartoon about it. It was so interesting to see how people thought about technology when it first came out, and that's kind of why I'm holding back I'm reserved a little bit in my critique, because I feel a certain way, but I kind of also feel like maybe I don't know how I should feel yet. Maybe my bias is too strong. And I'm all for the 80s cartoons. and the 90s X-Men was my favorite of all time. I don't care what anybody else says. 90s X-Men was the best cartoon for me.
Have you seen
But
97?
I've not. I refuse because I might like it.
Oh, you
I
will
want to
like
stick
it.
to my old school.
You will 100%
So this is kind of
will
what I'm
love it.
battling.
Yeah, I get that battle, but episode 7, remember me?
I watched it.
I fucking cried, all right? That was a touching-ass episode. That was X-Men 97 was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah.
Because it was
Okay, maybe I'll have to
nostalgic,
watch it.
but it was
Yeah.
also, it was new because it was still drawing off the comics like 97 was. And you
Yeah.
get so many storylines in that season. You're like,
Mm.
how did we get here? It's really
Yeah.
well done.
Well, you know what you just said is really important. Are we going to hold on to the art as the clincher, or are we going to accept that art is changing in some ways? But storytelling is really what we're trying to get to. We're really trying to get to the story, and the art is telling the story. If it's created by AI at the direction of adjectives, if it's created by someone's skill in their hand, is the story still being told? This is part of the pushback. Again, I've already voiced my position on this stuff, but I just am devil's advocate on you here on this. What do you think?
People are gonna, as far as comic books, when Jack Kirby was the thing, and then you have a generation that have no idea who he is. Milton Caniff have no idea who they are. But at the time, these guys were at the top of the heat. So it's just time. Nothing stays on top forever. The only consistency in the universe is change. So that's okay. What we liked, for me in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, kids never heard of it. They would never believe Ultraman had the zipper back on his thing, but yet they'll watch, I don't know how many Ultramans that aren't even real. It's okay. They could not sit. Me, I was enthralled. I was literally hypnotized watching this guy do this stuff. Believed every second of it. Went outside and did the same thing. But, he does the same things almost today, but he just looks different. So it's time. It's okay. It's okay to hold on to it. It's okay to embrace something new. That's called creativity. That's what the next artist does, is taking something that's there and maybe rehashing it or making something completely new out of it. Mm-hmm. So I can embrace it, without, too much, reservation.
I got a question for you. I'm just going to keep talking until you guys.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Here's my question for you.
I do not want to mow the lawn. So, hey. It's okay.
Yeah. So I have a passion to create great work, not just more work. I want to create something that has impact and has great work. That's my goal. And I don't think that my story is there yet. And I've watched writers who had it from the beginning, like Dresden Files. Okay, the guy had it from the beginning. It was innate. He was a savant there. And then there's people who wait 30 years to produce their story because that's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. What do you think? Should we seek out the people who are the best only? Or is this gluttony of content that's being thrown at us all day long? I backed 60 Kickstarters last year, for instance. Some of them were good, some of them weren't good. I mean, this is the game. Do we wait for the best to come, or do we just buy what we see and then decide? How do you do it?
Well, speaking for someone who wrote a story in 96, 97 and is now bringing it to fruition, it's like that. We've maybe had our parents' voice in our head, you're not an artist, you're not a writer, who knows why. But sifting through things, if you know what, it's like someone who knows quality cheese, somebody knows quality wine, yet you come up with, Gallo Brothers, Mad Dog 2020, and you try to pass it off as, some really nice, fine wine, they're going to spit it out immediately because they know the difference. Once you understand what is clear, what is quality, what is on the cusp of quality, and what is just,
Not there yet.
Bad Dog 2020, spit it out, rot gut, you just have to go through it. I'm walking through a comic book shop, just walls and rows and racks and racks. And you go through. I know I do. I know what I'm looking for in artwork. I'm looking for, a certain style that, I like to look at. I really don't like to see this scratchy, I don't like to see anime, comic book ish on everything. It's just overdone for me.
Yeah.
If I could hold on to John Buscema and dig him out and put him at a table and he just like let me go back to my grave before you put a pencil in my hand again, but that's me. That's me. I was hooked on since high school, the Savage Sword of Conan, black and white, no color, no saving grace on color, black and white, just amazing. So if you can distinguish what is good artwork, quality artwork, I mean, they do. I mean, you have so many podcasts like this picking apart, some artist's work, this looks like crap, this is terrible, and this is hacked over here. They do it.
But usually that's on the Marvel and DC books. I mean, because that's where,
they'll
there's
do it for they'll do it really, but I get that, yeah. But my point is, if you can really look and understand what quality is, you don't buy so much crap.
Yeah.
That's you go to a store and you're looking for a car. The first person I'd bring if I was looking for buy a car is Matt. You know why I buy a car? Because it looks cool. Matt would say, Frank, this thing is a clunker before a year is out. Yeah. Scratches off my list because I don't know any better. It's just understanding.
There's truth there that our experience will lead to knowing what we like and also seeing what's good. And people who don't get deeply into it, most everything is just fine. But once you get into it, then you start finding out what your style is really what really quality is versus not. And I've learned so much. I love the road that I've taken in my comic creation to the Heroic Awards, to being part of this video game, to doing my TTRPG. This process of the last 3 years has really been amazing for me. And I haven't done this for 30 years. I know you've come from that background. I'm kind of a newbie on the scene in that regard. And I think we should, everybody can be welcome and bring what you can. But I'm learning so much and I appreciate that. I don't have all the answers. I'm just going with as I can.
No one does. It's just our best opinions that we put together with other people that we can work with, not necessarily all agree at the same level, and we come to a bit of a summary. That's it. That's all we can do.
And that 1 second. I'm sorry, Matt. Sorry. One thing on that, my path has brought me to Aries the artist in Vigilante Combat. His skill is so good. His color, his energy, the movement of the images, it's so amazing. That's the guy I want to do my book. Even if he takes another year to get time for me, that's the one that I want, and that's the guy that I want to work with. That's what my 3 years has brought me to, is this level. And I won't, sadly, to my artists, I won't go back to some because they just didn't produce what I wanted them to produce. But I didn't know any better when I was getting into the scene. And there's that learning curve we all have to go through. Find the people that you like, and maybe it means you spend a couple $1,000 in the wrong direction. And that's okay. That's how it goes.
Well, yeah, you got to learn from that. But it's also, you can't just, like you're saying, to looking for, the next best thing. Do you wait for the next best thing to come along? And it's a lot like my answer to you is a lot like your path to this point, from heroic to vigilante to your tabletop. It's been evolving, and you've let them come as it is. Now, I was podcasting on Learn in a Go-Go podcast, my friend Sydney A. And she said this thing that it struck me, because some people are in your life for a season and some are in there for a reason. So you're going to get those people that latch on board, like Frank. I latched on to his comic book and I'm not letting go. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that you can tell. I started the Perjangers and Wallhangers with my business partner, Chris, because you can feel the energy off of some people. And sometimes the energy will change, right? But it's not like that with everybody. You know, some people you meet, you're just on the same frequency as each other, and you know, like, all right, we're going to be helping each other out. This guy gets it. You don't really have to worry about that. People will change in their mindset, and that's what ultimately sends people down on giving up on their dream, giving up on that passion, because they don't have that support structure. You know, there's a lot of different factors that can go into somebody having a lot of potential and then just sinking down. Some part of the foundation there shifted, and now the whole world's tilted. So that will happen, but more often than not, you'll find the people that you feel are on the same frequency as you coming through in the end, and, you know, staying around and being there to help build the dream.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's leave it there. What do you say? I'm going to head out. You guys can keep talking WWF or whatever you want to go to next.
Absolutely.
But
well, we appreciate you coming out. We appreciate you talking. I mean, please come back. Join us at any time. I mean, you're a great company, and you know, your topics and conversation is really, you know, gets people thinking, and I really like that. So,
absolutely.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You're always welcome on, Richard. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Hey, you guys were where we launched the first Vigilante Combat podcast, right here. This is it.
I love breaking
Well,
news.
we have 6 more lined up, but this was the first. So thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I'll let you know when I release it, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely.
See you later.
Bye.